Okay. So I think you guys can see my screen. Alright. So far whatever Apex we have used it with a visual force page. Okay. So there is a user interface and our logics actually work with the user interface. Now today we are going to talk about Apex triggers. Okay. Trigger is something. What is an Apex trigger? Apex trigger is basically an Apex code which executes on, it's basically an Apex code that executes on a DML operation. Okay, so what's a DML operation? Data manipulation language, which can be an insert or update or delete or undelete. So these are the DML operations that we have: insert, update, delete, undelete. Okay. So sometimes you want your Apex code to be executed on one of these operations, right? Let's say when a new record is being created, or when an existing record is being deleted, or when some record is being undeleted. So that is where we use Apex trigger. Okay. Clear? Now for Apex trigger, what we have to do?
Sorry, Jit.
Yeah.
Please repeat it again. What is the use of trigger?
A trigger is a code that will get executed on a DML operation. Okay. So DML operation is maybe when a record is being created or one existing record is being edited or deleted, something like that. Okay. So that is what a trigger is. Okay. So for writing an Apex trigger, you need to have three things. One, trigger name. Okay. Second, object. Third, event. Okay. Name of the trigger, which object you want to put the trigger in, and what event you want the trigger to get executed, and of course the code. What code you want to execute. So these four things are required, not three, four. Okay. So trigger name can be ABCD, whatever you want. Object, you have to decide which object you are talking about. Are you talking about account or opportunity or leads or contacts? Event, what is the event when you want to execute the trigger on a delete operation or on update or on insert. Code is what you want to do. Okay, so that is how it is. So trigger syntax is pretty simple. It goes like this. Trigger name. So okay, on object name. Okay, so trigger, give a name to the trigger. On, give the name of the object, and then write the event here inside this bracket, and then write the code, whatever code you want to execute. That's it. Clear? So trigger name is pretty simple. It can be anything. Object name, we understand whichever object we are going to talk about. Code we will write. What all events are available? Event is something that we have to understand. What all events are allowed to us in this? So the events that we have are here. So there are 7 events which can be used in trigger. One is before insert. Second is after insert. Before update. Then we have after update. We have before delete, we have after delete, and then I have after undelete. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 options. So we have before insert, after insert, before update, after update, before delete, after delete, and after undelete. Alright. So these are the 7 options that we have, 7 events of the trigger. Okay. Now before insert means something, the code which will get executed before a new record is created. After insert means the code which will get executed after a new record is created. So same way, when a new record is updated, before the update happens or after the update happens. Okay. So these are the events that we can use on the trigger. Okay. So you can define your code to be executed on any of these events. Fine. Any one of these events, your code can get executed. Right. Now, apart from these events, there are a few other methods. So let's say, let me just talk about a simple example. Let's say when a new opportunity is being created, let's say I want to do this. Whenever a new opportunity is being created, I want my trigger to check if the amount of opportunity is more than 10,000 or not. If it is less than 10,000, it should throw an error. Okay. So now this logic should get executed when? Which event will be apt for this? Before the record gets created, I want to check whether the opportunity amount is more than 10,000 or not. Which event you think is good? I should be using?
Before insert.
Before insert, right? Before a new record is created. Okay. And then I say, whenever a lead is created, an automated email should be sent to the email. This action should be executed when?
After insert.
Right. So got this thing? So that is the logic. So wherever you will understand that, okay fine, this is the what is your code's logic and when do you want to execute that logic. Based on that you will decide the event. Okay, so whether you have to take a before insert or an after insert, that depends on how and when you want the code to be executed. Clear? Right. So let's start writing a small example again. As we always do, we'll not get into too much of theory and I will not confuse you with too much of theory. I just want you to understand small things, and if you understand the syntax, I think we are good to start writing the code. Okay, so let's do a small example and understand this. So let's get started with the same example. Okay, using my trigger, I want to make sure that opportunity amount should not be less than, let's say, 3,000. Okay, if it is less than 3,000, I want opportunity to throw an error. All right. So let's go ahead and write this trigger. To write the trigger, what you have to do? Okay. So we'll start writing the trigger. To write a trigger, you just have to go to the opportunity object. So how do you do this? You just go to customize. Here you don't necessarily have to write a class. Class you can write, but that is not required. Okay. So you can easily go to customize and then go to opportunities, and then there you can go and click on triggers. Then write new. Click on new. So here is the trigger syntax as I showed you. Trigger, name of the trigger on opportunity, because I came from opportunity, by default it has taken the object name. What event you want to put and what code you want to put, you have to put here. That's it. Okay, so whatever event you define, this trigger will get executed on that particular event. So I call it op trigger 1. So you can give it any name, whatever you want, and the event will be before insert. Okay. Now the logic that I want to execute here is pretty simple. For opportunity O trigger.new. Okay, so I define an S object variable here, opportunity O. Okay, so O is an opportunity S object variable. Okay, and I assign the value to O as trigger.new. Trigger.new means the record which is being created. Before insert we are saying na? So the record which is in context. So trigger.new returns the record in context in case of an insert operation. So when the insert operation is happening, the record which is getting inserted, that is returned using trigger.new. So what I say, I define a variable for that new record, opportunity O equals trigger.new, and then here I can write if O dot amount. This is what I have to check, right? If O dot amount is less than 3000 or not. Is less than 3000. O dot add error, throw error. Opportunity amount cannot be less than 3000. Fine. So that is it. We are done with that part.
Jeet, what is trigger dot? What is it doing?
Read this. And tell me what do you understand from this. What is it doing now? Anyone who can explain what exactly is the functionality of trigger.new? Though I have explained it myself, but I want someone else also to explain this.
Yeah, it will handle, it will act as a pointer for the, you know, if you are inserting a new opportunity, it will act as a pointer for that particular record.
Yeah. So trigger.new is a method, a standard method, which returns the value of the record which is being inserted. Okay. Because you have to compare the value of the record which is being inserted. Before insert, which value you will compare? You will compare the value of the record which is being inserted. Now, how do you know, refer to that record? So trigger.new will basically help you do that. Correct? So opportunity O equals trigger.new. When I say it comes and assigns trigger.new the new record's value to O, then I am checking that okay, whether the amount of that record is less than 3000 or not, and I am throwing an error. Is that clear? Fine. So that's it. Now, like your workflow rules and validation rules, approval process, trigger also has to be active. Okay, so make sure it's active. Till the time it's not active, it will not work. It will not function. So it's active. I've saved it. Everything is fine. Now let me just go ahead and create an opportunity and see if it allows me to create an opportunity less than 3000 or not.
Jeet, one more doubt. I mean, we don't need to write like return cancel operation or something. It just
Yeah.
goes.
Add error means it will throw error. That's it.
That's it. It will not go. It will not go and execute the rest of the steps, right?
Right.
So it will be like.
It will throw an error. So amount I put 2500. Put it here. You click on save. See, opportunity amount cannot be less than 3000. So you get the error message. Now you can edit it. You can make it 2800, which again will throw error because it is still less than 3000. Correct? Here. So what trigger is doing, we could understand that. Now, if you make it, sorry.
Just want to understand. So triggers are basically has been used for on the field just to validate it, right? Although we want to put some criteria on the field, so just to restrict the end user of to not to reach our criteria.
Right.
My understanding is correct. So for that we put some logic behind every field or whatever the field we want to put it, just to ensure that our criteria should be maintained.
Yes.
That is the logic of triggers being put in.
Yes, that is a logic of trigger, but that is 50% correct. Because when you talk about validating and all that stuff, that is absolutely okay. So, but validating and everything happens before insert, before update and all, right? Trigger also helps you in after insert and all that stuff. So that means you can perform certain actions as well. Maybe you want to update some other field. Okay.
Okay.
So those things can also be done.
On the upper side, this page can you scroll a little bit on the upper side? Actually, I joined late, so just want to understand a little bit.
So trigger is an apex code which gets executed on a DML operation. So don't worry about the DML operation. You just see this list. So an apex code which gets executed on any of these stages. Okay. So maybe before a record is inserted, after it is inserted, before updated, after updated, right? So validation and all that part is okay still till the time we are talking about a before operation. But after insert, you might want to have something else, some other record created. Got that? That sort of thing. Okay. So we are all okay with this small example, simple one. Now I make it 4000 and then I save it. So this gets saved. What is the problem? Now there is the validation rule problem there. Okay, so there is already a validation rule which says it cannot be less than 5000. Okay, so let me just go ahead and turn off the validation rule because we don't want to deal with both the things. So let's go ahead and switch off the validation rule. So go to customize opportunities, validation rules. And make it inactive. So deactivate this validation rule, click on save, We are done. Okay, now I am able to save it. So the moment you increase the value, when it's not 3000, it's more than 3000, it saves it. Okay, now there is no problem in saving this. Now if I edit it at this point of time, just try to understand this situation. If I edit it and now if I make it 2500, now what do you think? Will it allow me to save it or will it throw an error still? Look at the code and tell me. Will it still throw an error? I have saved the record. The record got saved. I am trying to update that record and now I have made the value less than 3000. So what do you think? Will it still throw errors looking into the code?
No, it will not. It will not.
Why?
No.
Because what we are doing here.
No, deactivate
No,
was
not
validation rule. That is a different thing.
no.
You can
That
never
is
say
not.
that.
No, not that. But the trigger we have used is before insert here, but it is like update over there, which we are doing.
Okay. So
Event.
anyone who could not understand what Sai is saying, so what he is saying is absolutely correct. So anyone who does not agree to him or does not understand what he is saying, here we have specifically said that just check this code when it's an insert operation before a record is inserted. But this time I'm not doing an insert operation, right? Insert is when a new record is being created. But here I'm doing an update. So this trigger will not get executed on an update. Got it?
So in this case we need to create after insert the event.
Why after insert?
I mean, if we wanna continue with the same kind of validation rule, so
Then
what we did before insert the event we have created. Now
before insert we have executing and before update.
okay, before update.
So both the events you have to write. If you want the code to be executed on both the events, then you have to define that before insert, before update. Clear?
Okay.
Okay, tell me if you are not able to understand this. It's pretty simple. Okay, now because it is on before insert and before update, now if you try to save it, it will throw an error. Okay, but if before update was not there, then it wouldn't have thrown error. Got it? So that is how trigger works. So you can put some criteria for insert, some criteria for update also. Let us say your company has a different logic. They say minimum amount for new opportunity is 3000 and minimum amount for existing opportunity is 1000. Possible, right? Your company might have a logic that if a new opportunity is being created, minimum value for the new opportunity should be 3000. We will not take a new opportunity less than 3000. But if we already have an opportunity and the client wants to reduce it, we can do that because we have already taken that opportunity or we are considering talking to the client. But there also we cannot go below 1000. So now for insert operation, I want to put a cap of 3000. For update operation, I want to put a cap of 1000. How will you do that? So let's do an example for that. So there you just have to do a small thing here. You just have to go and write okay. So here I can write if amount sorry, O dot amount less than 3000 and trigger dot is insert. Okay, now trigger dot is insert is a method which returns true if it's an insert trigger. Okay, if it's an insert event which is happening, then say O dot add error minimum amount for new op is 3000. Okay, else if O dot amount is less than 1000 and trigger dot is update, you can say minimum amount for existing op is 1000. Fine. Now if it's an insert operation which is happening, then it will check whether it's less than 3000 or not. If it's an update operation which is happening, then it will check whether it's 1000 or not. Got it? Now go ahead and, so because it's an update operation, now if you try to save it, it should not have a problem, because for update it will check 1000 minimum value. If you make it less than 1000, make it 800, now it should throw an error. Clear? So we have just used one trigger for the for the insert operation before insert, and then we have used another trigger where I am using insert and update both, but I have two different criteria. So one criteria for insert and one criteria for update. Tell me if we are clear on this.
Jit, in our first code example, we didn't mention this method like is insert, is update. So we just mentioned like before insert, before update. So they both are the same methods.
Okay, see. This is the event on which you want to run your trigger, okay?
Yeah.
So now my trigger one, op trigger one is executed on which all events? Before insert and before update, okay? So this is that part of the code.
Okay.
This is the criteria. So because in both the conditions it's being checked, so is insert is something which will be which will return true if it's an insert operation, and this will return true if it is an update operation. Got it?
Okay. Yeah, got it. This is the criteria, is insert and is update kind of criteria syntax.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so this will check whether it's an insert. So both insert case or update case both will come here, right? So here I am distinguishing between the insert case and update case, so that I can put different logics for both these scenarios. Okay, a different logic for the insert operation, different logic for the update operation.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Okay. Now what we have here is so we have understood the events, all the 7 events. Then there are these methods that we are using. Okay, so you just need to know these: trigger.new, Okay, so as I told you, returns the record in context in case of an insert operation. So when an insert operation is happening, it returns the record in context. Trigger dot old. Okay, this is used when you are doing a delete operation. Okay, so the record which is being deleted, that record will be returned to trigger dot old. Right. So instead of before insert, if you are using before delete or after delete operation, then you will use trigger dot old. Okay, because that record is already in the system, old record which is being deleted. So just remember this. Okay. Then we have some other methods like trigger dot is insert returns true if it is an insert operation. So same way we have other things also. We have trigger dot is update. So this returns true if it's an update operation. We have trigger dot is delete. This returns true if it's a delete operation. Trigger dot is undelete returns true if it's an undelete operation. Trigger dot is before, it returns true if it's a before operation. Okay, and trigger dot is after if it's an after operation. Got it? Let's say you want to have a trigger where you want to check certain things before the record is created and send an email after the insert has happened. So you can write something like this: trigger P1 on, say, contact before insert and after insert. Okay, now you can write it like this for contact C. There should be trigger dot new or trigger dot old. Trigger dot new or trigger dot old.
Trigger dot new. Insert is the trigger dot.
Right. Now you can here say that if trigger dot is before, then check validation. So some validation you can do here. Okay, and else if trigger dot is after, you can perform some action. Got this? So if you have multiple events on a trigger, then these things will be useful. Trigger dot is insert. So what out of multiple events, if there are multiple events on a particular trigger, and then you want different logics to be executed for different scenarios, then you can use this. If it's trigger dot is before, if it's a before trigger, then what it should do. If it's an after trigger, then what it should do. If it's a delete trigger, then what it should do. That sort of thing. Correct? So here you see it's a before insert, after insert event. Both the events are used on this trigger. So I use if it's trigger dot is before or if it's a trigger dot is after. So I can have different actions or different codes for both the scenarios. Here, please let me know if anyone has a question here. So it's a very simple example on the trigger that we have done. So we'll do a couple of more examples, and we'll try to get a little more complex examples. But I just want you to today get a little bit feel of what trigger is. Okay. So just go back, work on this. We are not going to do any more example today. Once we meet on Monday, then we will do one or two complex examples. A little complex again. When I say complex, I do not mean very difficult, but yeah, a little more complex examples. All right.
Jit, one more example.
Yeah, one second. In the meanwhile, I just want you to try and create some small triggers, okay? Like at least, opportunity amount is less than 3,000, something simple like that. If industry of their account is in, energy, then throw an error, that sort of things, right? So that you get a little more familiar with the code. Yeah, please go ahead. Someone was saying something.
Yeah, yeah, I have a doubt. So, I mean, like you're creating a trigger on the opportunity, right? So let's say we have a call center application and we are creating a trigger on that particular service request, okay? So we want to write a
Service
event
request is
like
what?
after and hello?
Service request is what? Case.
Service request object.
Object, okay, fine. Case is object.
Okay. Okay, fine. Whatever.
Fine.
Okay. So after insert is the event, and we want to create activities, automated activities under that particular service request in this trigger. Can we do that?
Absolutely. You can do whatever you want.
So those are different objects, right? So
Absolutely, no problem.
no problem.
So, let's say after this contact you want to create an opportunity, right? So you just have to go and say that in this code itself, you can just say opportunity O equals new opportunity.
Okay. So initializing that particular object and
here you can say insert O somewhere, or maybe after this you want to do this, you can say insert O. So basically you can pass on the values to this O anywhere here, and then you can just say insert O. So there is no restriction that you cannot insert data in some other object or something. In fact, this is a common scenario. We do it a lot.
Yeah.
So it can be done. So that is the reason why I told you that trigger, I think Rohit was saying that is it for validation only. So validation is one part of it, but you can perform a lot of actions, and you can perform every action which can be done using Apex. Create a record, this, that.
So you told that
everything can be done.
You told that we can pass the values for O, right? So you are initializing that particular opportunity O object as a new opportunity, and then you pass like O dot.
Let's say, I mean, if you just want to hard code value, that's also fine. Let's say, you want to say that O dot name equals E dot first name. It can be done. Got it, and then you say that okay, insert okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
That's
okay. Okay. No problem.
All right.
Can you just send like minutes of meeting of this particular text file?
So I'll copy this entire stuff, send it to you all.
Yeah.
And this code also, once Suresh sends me, I will send it. So I'm sending this right away, and the code I will send once I receive it.